Who doesn't love case studies, right? Finally, you're gonna look into how it's really done, how it was done, and what happened. So Liana and Jordan are gonna show us how to make $6 million in revenue with this direct-to-consumer brand, following an omnichannel approach. So it's not only Facebook or Google or native or TV, they combined it all and hit it big with their DTC brand. Looking forward to learn from you guys. The stage is yours. This is Liana and Jordan. Let's go.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today as we discuss how we used omnichannel marketing to generate $6 million in revenue at a 14x ROAS for a direct-to-consumer company. My name is Jordan Swanson.
And I'm Liana Ling.
And we're with AdSkills. And for those of you who aren't familiar with AdSkills, it's a digital marketing training school built by ad buyers for ad buyers. You can learn pro-level strategies for all the hottest ad networks from real experts. All right, so today we're going to be covering 4 topics. We're going to be covering the challenges of modern day digital advertising. We're going to be going behind the scenes of the case study. We will be looking at omnichannel marketing and strategies behind it. And then we're going to be talking about the results.
So let's first start by just identifying the top 4 challenges that we have noticed media buyers are facing specifically today. Jordan and I have had the opportunity to speak with many ad buyers within AdSkills and without, and have seen these challenges come up over and over again that either slow us down or even stop and make us put a halt to our campaigns. One of the ones which you may have experienced already is policy issues. The platforms are not only trying to deal with the growing concerns over privacy, but dealing with technology issues and their changes. And you may have also experienced their policy teams becoming more and more strict in terms of what they're allowed to run. So often we find ourselves spending a lot of time just trying to get our ads approved rather than focusing on the optimization. So that's just going to take a lot more of our time and effort, which means that we also have to make sure that our ads are as effective as possible. Another challenge that we continually see crop up over and over and over again is an overall increase in CPMs. And I'm not talking about spikes during holiday periods or end of quarter that you may experience. It's a general increase across the different platforms. This means that there's even more pressure on us to make sure that the ads are performing because our clients' dollars are not going as far as they used to in paid media. Now, tracking and attribution, as I'm sure many of you have experienced, has always been an issue, right? But also with the increased issues with privacy and a cookieless world and all these other changes that we may have not even thought about, sometimes it could feel like tracking and attribution feels impossible. It's going to be harder and harder to figure out exactly, whether this sale came from Facebook or no, maybe it came from YouTube, or maybe it actually came from a banner ad off of this site. It's going to be becoming so much more challenging there. But what Jordan is going to do is show you how we've actually addressed this issue. And what it allows our clients to do is to give them more freedom and knowledge in terms of how to allocate the current budget and also how to scale up. Because if we can create an improved attribution model, then we'll be able to know, which strings to pull, which levers to pull in terms of scaling up and setting out the different parts of the budget. And finally, the 4th challenge that I wanted to address, which we've also addressed in what Jordan will be showing you as he goes through our methodology, is we're continuing to see a fractured approach in not just the marketing plans for each of the different channels, but also even amongst the different media buyers when they're brought in for the different campaigns. When this happens, you find that you get inconsistent messaging. We're not able to leverage learning across the different platforms, and we're really not able to, most effectively use all the resources at our disposal. And sometimes this fractured approach can really be almost like the low-hanging fruit that can really restart momentum again, and just again take your campaign to the next level, as we're going to show you here. So I know you're all excited and probably waiting for me to get right into the breakdown. So here we go. We're going to break down the behind the scenes of the $6 million case study here. Now, just a few notes before I go ahead is I just want to let you know, first of all, due to privacy and confidentiality, I'm not able to show you the screenshots of the landing pages or the ads. So we'll have some limitations there as I walk you through what we created. I also wanted to just quickly share with you the specific objective and challenges so you have a better idea of the context of this particular campaign. So we'd actually been working with this client for a couple of months and had already implemented the omnichannel marketing before this Black Friday weekend. And when we had actually started with the client, it was quite amazing because as we started the omnichannel approach, the client saw month over month increases of about 40 to 50% in revenue over the previous 6 months. This all culminated in Black Friday through Cyber Monday, where just the sheer power of the collaboration across all of the platforms in this true omni-channel marketing approach really became obvious. So why don't we jump through and go to that part? Now, we had to take a look at which channels would be best to focus on. We actually did a couple of different little mini tests and determined that these 3 channels would be the best ones to focus our efforts on. So Facebook and Instagram, Google Ads, and programmatic. And we had a simple yet very powerful funnel. So what we ended up doing was, after all of the different testing, we decided to take all the different paid traffic from the various channels and send them all to different advertorials. We had a variety of advertorials because they had to be focused based on the different audiences and interests. And each of the advertorials would encourage the customer to go to the shopping cart to buy. A couple of the advertorials also had an additional opt-in option for emails so that the back end could then kick in and start marketing to that email list and get even more sales. And here are the touch points that we ended up focusing on. So it was Facebook and Instagram, Google, Bing, YouTube, connected TV, programmatic display with banner ads, native, and video. We were actually able to use the brand assets with imagery and videos. And what each media buyer did was they took those assets and customized it so they were optimized for each platform. Also, because there is an education element required before purchasing this product, we had a number of different videos. Some were 15 seconds, some were, more than 1 minute. And we were able to use those in Facebook, Instagram, like YouTube, connected TV, and video, and programmatic video. And so that was actually really helpful in order to get the message across and to be able to accelerate people along the customer journey. In addition, like another bonus with Facebook and Instagram was we were also able to leverage video from their influencer campaigns as well, which, especially on that particular platform, helped us to increase sales there as well. So when we took a look at the data after we kind of increased everything just for that Black Friday sale, we noticed that we ended up getting a 44x ROAS when you compare it year over year. So if you notice here, we also in the previous year had about 200,000 in revenue. And then the next year with the omnichannel marketing, remember we had started it a couple of months beforehand and they were able to ramp up for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. We're showing here a little bit over $2 million in revenue. If you want to take a look at it across the specific channels, you can see here that we have a summary of the results across Google, programmatic, and Facebook. Now, Jordan's going to walk you through our methodology and really the magic behind what makes all this work for these phenomenal results.
All right, thanks, Liana. Let's talk about the structure that we use on these omnichannel campaigns. And with the methodology we developed is called panoptic stacking. And what this does is it enables us to structure the entire campaign across all the key channels in a systematic way to yield maximum results. Panoptic stacking allows us to do what we call performance branding. 90% of our clients are performance-based. But what a lot of companies do is they forget about the importance of building your brand while driving for the sale. With panoptic stacking, we structure the campaign, the omnichannel campaign into 3 stages. Now, what you'll see here is kind of the whole process. So don't get overwhelmed when you look at this, because you might be like, oh, okay, this is a lot. We're going to break this down and kind of go into and cover this. Okay, but I wanted to show you the very specific kind of, this is the overall structure of this omnichannel process and what we try to do here. And one thing you'll notice in particular is that I talk about a combined CPA or ROAS. I'll talk a little bit more about this as we kind of go through it, but it's important to have that in mind as all the stages have to work together, and you're going to be looking at that combined CPA or ROAS. Okay. The first stage in this process consists of top of funnel activity for driving awareness and primarily focusing on some type of landing page, like an advertorial, a quiz, webinar registration, something educational and valuable to the consumer. Now, it's important, you will absolutely get sales from the stage. You absolutely will. But it's important to also identify your potential customers and begin building that relationship with them and building that awareness. And you'll see that we have 3 particular segments. We've got our programmatic native ads and video ads. We have our Facebook ads, and then we have Google search. And some of you might be saying, well, Google search, that's more of a bottom of funnel. And that's correct. But we were doing more of just focusing on topical keywords and category keywords at this stage of the awareness funnel. And then you can see with programmatic and Facebook, with programmatic, we actually, with native and native video ads, we did a lot of run of exchange and contextual targeting. And then we had our behavioral audiences built into that. But all of that together is what's going to fill up that funnel. And we did try YouTube and some other channels for stage 1. They didn't work out for us. And so that's why these were the 3 for this particular client that we focused on. In stage 2, you'll see that we move now into kind of the retargeting segment. So once we start filling that funnel, then we're using a lot of different channels to get in front of the consumer. And a couple I want to point out in particular, connected TV can be extremely powerful and can be a very effective way to get your brand in front of the consumer in places that they're not used to seeing, these type, maybe a digital brand and those type of advertisers. But when you run a connected TV campaign, make sure in the video, you're going to usually there'll be 15 to 60 second spots for connected TV. And make sure you put a phone number that you can track. And that can be kind of your tracking mechanism on the commercial that you're running. Or you can also include a website order page, some type of, website page, URL that you can direct them to, so you can have some type of tracking. Depending on the DSP, your demand side platform or programmatic that you're running connected TV, you'll also be able to see all your view through conversions from it too. But you'll see native ads on here. And then this is where we found YouTube, of course, very effective with native videos. And we saw our Google search. This is where we did our branded keywords, the product keywords, and the shopping feed to really get to get in front of the consumer on the retargeting standpoint. These pages then all we drove all those pages to a product focused landing page. So we were not driving them, retargeted back to an advertorial, that type of thing. We were driving them to a very specific sales page for the product. And on the sales page, number 1, make sure it's always connected to your main site in some way. You don't want to separate that. It actually helps with the branding, have that connected to the main site. You want to continue to build that trust. But all those URLs, all those products, all those channels, we're driving to this particular page. And then what we look at is, for that point, if they still don't buy, we do give them another chance, and we do use the last stage in stage 3 of retarget them using, these were the channels for this particular client that worked really well for them. And we're driving them to like an FAQs page, top 5 reasons to purchase, testimonial type of landing page. And then from there, that's it. We didn't continue, and we don't continue retargeting them, for a long period of time. So when you're doing omnichannel marketing, a lot of people make some big mistakes. And so these are the three biggest mistakes that we have found when you're doing omnichannel. Part of it's from our experience too, of course, when you're doing an omnichannel marketing campaign to make it successful. The first mistake is focusing on last click attribution. With last click attribution, first of all, it's an antiquated methodology for tracking conversions. It worked great back in the day when we were running Google, just Google PPC campaigns. It worked really well. But today, there are so many different channels. There are so many different devices. I mean, there's an average of 11 devices per household. There's all these different things that are happening as a consumer goes along their journey. And when you're doing omnichannel marketing, if you're focused in particular on just last click, you're going to end up killing the campaign and you won't be able to scale. And to give you an example of that, with this particular client, as we were running traffic, they were looking at Google and the Google search campaigns, like, wow, the ROAS is great on Google search. It's doing very, very well. Why don't we stop spending on this native campaign and just focus on this particular channel, which was Google? And so we kind of debated with them a little bit. I don't think it's a good idea. And they said, yeah, we want to do it. So we said, fine. So we went ahead and shut that off. And then what we saw over the next couple of days is that Google sales just continued to drop. And they continued to drop. And the guy that we had that was actually running the Google campaign was saying, hey, what's going on? Why are sales dropping over here? It was once we showed the client that, the client said, go ahead, yeah, turn it back on. So we turned it back on. And of course, across the funnel, the sales continued to rise. They went back up. Google search sales went back up. And so we saw that as being a very effective example. But also later on, that the client still wanted to make sure that was the case. And so it happened again where there was one particular channel where they said, why don't we take the spend and move it all over here because it seems like it's doing better. And I tried to explain we're feeding the funnel. But we did it. And again, the same thing, we actually saw a dramatic decrease in multiple channels in sales because they were all working together. And you have to be able to focus on feeding the funnel to be able to have success. The second mistake that people make, when you're running on the channel campaign, is taking the same KPIs for every channel and step in the funnel. You really have to be able to differentiate the different steps in your funnel, the different stages, and give the appropriate KPIs to those stages. If you don't do that, again, kind of as I was referencing earlier, you will kill off the top of the funnel. So your top of funnel, you'll kill off actually everything. It won't scale. Your top of the funnel, you need to have a different KPI. So typically, if we're looking at a target CPA, we may say the target CPA for top of funnel activity may be 1.5, maybe 2x the CPA for that type of activity. And then as we come down, the CPA drops and it continues to drop as we get down to bottom funnel. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we look at the combined CPA or combined ROAS across all the channels to determine the effectiveness of the campaign. And when you do that, you can continue to scale the stuff, all the traffic that's building up the rest of the funnel. And when you're focused so much on just that, hey, everything's got to have the same target CPA, it doesn't work the same. And you're gonna run into challenges. Now, some people might be wondering, okay, what about duplicate conversions? You are going to see duplicate when you're doing omnichannel marketing. You will see duplicate conversions. That will happen. All right, but what's key to understand is to look at the overall picture and to look at total amount of advertising spend across all channels. And that's what we did with this particular client. We looked at total spend, and then we looked at total revenue, and then each channel continues to optimize towards those KPIs, and then we look at incremental growth as we continue to move forward in the process. And by doing that, you can continue to scale, you can continue having success. Everyone's still driving towards whatever these KPIs are. And then you can you have to look at the big picture when you're doing omni-channel marketing. All right, and the third biggest mistake is not watching your frequency capping. All right. You don't want to just dump all your retargeting on the client and just be like, okay, here it is. And because you have all these channels, we're just going to target you everywhere you go. You don't want to do that. Number one, it's very annoying to the client. Okay, I mean to the consumer. And number two, you end up wasting a lot of money. So you need to sit down with every one of your channels. You need to sit down and be able to discuss, okay, this channel is we're going to show the ad within this time frame, X amount of times. And you need to establish that so every channel is working together on the overall retargeting objectives. If you do that, with your frequency caps and get those in place, you will see success. Otherwise, your retargeting starts to look really bad across channels, and it just overall, it turns into a mess.
So overall, after deploying this omni-channel marketing approach, as you saw, we experienced an increased ROAS and increased sales. Another bonus of this was an improved customer experience, because at every single point along the journey, no matter what platform that they encountered the ads on, the customer saw the right message at the right time, optimized for that particular network. Another big win, as we mentioned, is being able to fully leverage that ads budget. We were able to leverage the learnings from each of the different platforms, know precisely where to allocate the budget, and we were able to actually use it as efficiently as possible because we had the learnings through the entire campaign across all channels instead of everybody just working in a little silo. And finally, because of that, each of the media buyers was able to really maximize their own particular platform. They had customized KPIs. Everybody was not worried about trying to go after direct sales every single time. We all knew we were all rowing in the same direction, working on the same team. So we were all able to work within our zones of genius and get each platform to be maximized to its fullest for this campaign. And well, you saw the results. So if you do want to learn more about how we used omnichannel marketing to generate 6 million in revenue and a 14x ROAS and other pro level strategies for the hottest networks out there, as well as connect with us, please make sure you visit adskills.com. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.